Okay, we're live.
All right.
Dude, I've been so excited about this. All right.
Shit's been building up for 2 weeks.
I know. 2 weeks. For those of you listening, my name is Michael.
I'm Dakota.
And you're listening to the Crypt Keepers. We hope to each surprise the other with a mythological creature or supernatural happening or...
anything related to the paranormal.
Anything.
Unknown, otherworldly.
Yeah. So, we'll each research our own topic and then present it to the other. Who wants to go first?
Well, I feel like you have a lot more details to go over since you did, like...
You can go first, then.
2 weeks of research, and I was, like, cramming the past, 4 days. 3.5.
You can knock out yours.
Alright. So, one of the things that I kind of found... Well, have you ever heard of the Yowie?
What is a Yowie?
So, the Yowie is pretty much the cousin to Bigfoot, Sasquatch.
Distant cousins?
Yeah, I'm assuming
twice
so.
removed.
Probably.
Right.
So, since Australia, I've been kind of keeping up with everything happening and all the fires and shit like that. So I was just kind of inspired, like, oh, Australia, and then talking about this shit. I was like, oh, cool. What kind of supernatural shit's over there? And I actually, right before we talked about this, I saw on Reddit, some guy was like, oh, I think I had an interaction with some creature, and they're like, oh, yeah, mate, that's a Yowie. And I was like, oh, shit, what the fuck is that? Because I'd never heard of that shit.
Oh, yeah, mate.
And I was like, all right, whatever. So, apparently, the Yowie is literally the fucking Bigfoot and Yeti of Australia. There's the Yowie, which is possibly considered the Yahoo, which was named by fucking drinking milk and shit. She's running through towns. Yahoo! There's the fucking Yahoo, man.
Oh, dude, I gotta check my emails.
So, a lot of people think that So, the Yowie, like Bigfoot and Sasquatch and the Yeti, have never been actually proven. So, it's all just a bunch of, we have all these really shitty quality pictures.
I found a footprint.
Yeah.
It's really big.
Yeah, literally. That's all. And none of the footprints, actually, they have 4 or 5, multiple different footprints, and none of them are consistent. So, they're just like, yeah, this is a bunch of BS. But, the Yowie is so there's 2 different type of Yowies, supposedly.
Okay.
Supposedly. There's Yowies that are 4 to 5 or 6 feet tall, smaller versions of them. And
then
there's
normal, hairy, Italians
people
that went to Australia.
And then you got fucking...
Yo, it's pretty hot up in here. Australia, sure.
Alright, so then there's 6 to 10 or 11 feet Yowies, and a lot of the sightings are in New South Wales and Queensland Gold Coast, and specifically in Queensland, there's a place called Kilcoy that have been over thousands of Yeti sightings. But again, no one has produced substantial evidence to say, hey, this thing is real.
It's always just crazy Carl at the bar.
One of the so I guess the Aboriginals of Australia are pretty much our versions of Native Americans.
Did you not know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Wow, who'd have thunk it?
Who would have thought people were living everywhere?
I know. And specifically, the one tribe, I have no idea if I'm saying this right. They are the Kuku Yelani tribe of the tropical North Queensland. They are hardcore believers because apparently their ancestors lived alongside these Yowies, and they've had battles between each other. The Yowies would come down and attack them.
Jesus.
And so they are firm believers, and there's cave painting drawings with the Yowies and shit like that. So these people are yo, these shits are real. So one of the articles that I was reading online, they were saying how they think that these Yowies or Yahoos are a Gigantopithecus, which are it's a legit species. It's they're now extinct genus of the ape. They existed 2 million years ago, as recent as 100,000 years ago. So they're thinking that maybe the taller versions of the Yowies are these historic creatures that somehow managed to survive and just have remained elusive to everyone.
The fucking missing link thing.
Yeah, literally.
The missing link bones that they find every single year, and this is the missing link.
Yeah, they were known to live around the time frame that 7 other different the Homo genus species were living. So it's
basically early Neanderthals.
Yes, literally.
Gotcha.
Now, there was one of the things that I was looking at, that I was researching. So there's a theory that the Yeti, Bigfoot, Yowie, that these creatures live in a different dimension, and that they come out or they are only appearing whenever they like possibly want to be seen, and that would explain why we can't use technology to find them, because they're not on our plane 24/7.
Like a plane of existence.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that go into different dimensions and different theories.
There's like a theory that's like ghosts, as we know, like our souls exist on a different plane. Yeah. And whenever we actually see ghosts, sometimes like they're like reliving their past moments. Like, hey, where like let's say you're in a hospital and there's a nurse just walking around, like a ghost nurse.
She's like on loop,
taking rounds. And she's like doing random shit like, Mr. Brown, where are you at? And he's, she's in an empty room. There isn't a Mr. Brown, but like maybe that was just an important part of her life. And people think that there's a different plane of existence, like some kind of fourth dimension.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Like they exist on that fourth dimension, and then like I guess sometimes, cartoons where the fucking planets align,
and then bam,
like
they're in our
straight
plane.
line and goes into a pyramid, and then all of a sudden Illuminati's
taking over and running shit. Throw up a triangle with the fucking evil eye.
Throw up that triangle. Those guys on
gang.
Illuminati, bitch.
So that's the Yowie.
Does it does it basically just look like the regular
Yeti? It looks like...
I know Yetis are like white, Bigfoot's like brown.
Well, so these guys they're considered dark haired, but there's also been like sightings of like lighter colored hair. Yowies as well. So I'm guessing the colors can range.
Like hair color.
Hair
color.
But they're typically...
Just blonde Yowies.
Blonde, yeah, fucking... Those are the hot ones that all the Yowies want.
The hot ones.
The blondies. But, so, they're gigantic. They're known to have, like, a broad nose, big lips, a pretty wide face. Supposedly, their arms are longer than normal. Obviously, they kind of resemble the ape-like feature.
Yeah. It's, like, almost near the ground.
Yeah, like, their arms are pretty fucking long. They're pretty tall. And then there's, like, talons for hands, which... Who knows?
Unsubstantiated nonsense.
Like literally,
who knows?
There's no evidence. Everything has been orally translated or
through generations.
Yeah, like passed down. And honestly, the Yowie dates back to the earliest, from what I could find, was 1788, and
not too long ago. Honestly.
No, I think that's when the Europeans first landed in Australia. They started having sightings with the Yowie.
That makes sense.
I
mean, if they were from like Aboriginal folklore and like mythology, then obviously it's gonna be way earlier than that.
Yeah,
but that's just like European settlers finally putting it to paper, pen and paper.
Like, oh hey, we had this interaction with this creature. But there was as far as like sightings go, there were a bunch of different sightings that's been happening all through over. Like one of the most common sightings, which is like 1849, which was in Queensland. In, like, the Kilcoy area, there was, like, 2 high school students or 2 college students who saw, like, a Yowie in the backyard or some shit like that.
A Yowie in the backyard.
Ma! There's a Yowie in the backyard!
What is that?
What are we doing? There's one here, I'll show you. So, on my phone, I have a photograph of what people believe to be a Yowie.
A real Yowie? Or just...
Yeah. This was in 1932. It was a mysterious photo taken by Rich Jones in Batlow, New South Wales, 1932. I mean, the picture itself, it's hard to see. Like, you see 2 guys sitting on the right side of the picture. On the left side of the picture, you see
on the left side, it looks like an exhausted Hulk.
Yeah, just kind of like
sitting on a bench.
Chilling. But the thing is, it's so dark, like, you can't really see what it looks like.
That could have entirely been a trick of the
camera or whatever.
Yeah, it looked...
I mean, it's really hard to see.
I super zoomed it. Yeah, honestly, that could just been... Because there's a lot of foliage around it. That could have just been, like, breaks in the foliage that kind of resemble his shoulders. Because both quote-unquote shoulders are illuminated. Like, the tops of his knees are illuminated. And, like, the top of his forearm is illuminated. But that could have been just breaks in the foliage that just somehow resemble
Yeah.
knees, shoulders, and a forearm. And like the overexposure of the photograph is terrible.
Yeah.
What two people are gonna sit like, what is that, 20 feet from a beast? Like, what is that? I don't know. Let's get a picture. Kind of looks like Swamp Thing from DC Comics.
But that's one of like a super common picture. But then a lot of people are saying, you know what, there could be a possibility of this monster possibly existing because when they first discovered the platypus in New South Wales back in 1808 by John Lewin, or no, that's a painting drawn by John Lewin in New South Wales 1808. But when they first found like the platypus and they sent this skeleton back over to Britain for...
feel like, what the fuck is
they're
that?
like, this shit's not real. And they're like, no, it's a legit fucking animal. It's a platypus.
You made this in your kitchen. Come on now.
So they're like, kind of like, hey, you know, this could be something we just haven't discovered yet. Or all this other shit. But I don't know. It's kind of hard. I mean, we have all this technology. Kind of like with the Loch Ness Monster. You know, there's these creatures that supposedly could exist. And there's been a lot of really shitty photos or altered photos or just oral stories told, but we don't have proof. So it's like,
because like the best image of the Loch Ness Monster came like almost 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Like how long ago?
and it was just a dark figure sticking out of the
Yeah.
water.
It's like,
Which is like,
it's so much speculation. I fucking hate that.
and it's completely off topic from the Yowie.
Yeah.
So we'll have to take the Loch Ness Monster to another episode. But there was a...
Do we have that in our subjects?
I think we do.
Do you? Okay, I added a few to it.
There's a video on Reddit where there's a water buffalo in the water, and it legit looks like
Like a Loch Ness
a
Monster.
creature. Like,
That's
just,
cool.
it's weird, because you see, like, the two big horns, and you just see this big brown creature, like, underwater, swimming, and it just raises its head out, and it's like, oh, that's a fucking
The horns.
water buffalo.
Jesus.
Yeah, like, that's kind of cool.
What is it? It's a water dragon.
Take
a picture
It's
so you
coming
can-
for us!
So you can misconstrue everything.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what a lot of it is. It's like, people are just,
Speculating.
yeah.
People
And-
get scared.
And then it doesn't have... Well, that's another thing that I looked into. Like, they're saying, like, maybe the Yowie sightings are caused by, like, some mass hysteria. Like, hey, this is a really prominent figure in this specific area, so the local people
Mass
start...
hysteria is real.
So it's like they start...
Disorder.
Their mind starts playing tricks on them, and then, oh, I think I saw this. No, but I know I did, and then... It was definitely looked like this, and then the thing is, a lot of the stories that are told or like that have been portrayed are kind of consistent with how the monster looks, the behaviors. Like they say, they're pretty aggressive for the most part.
Yeah.
Like some of the attacks that have happened or like interactions. There was like a lady who got pushed by a Yowie down a hill. There was a guy who
randomly.
yeah, just like she went in her backyard and she got pushed downhill.
Is she like antagonized it or something? She's
Then-
like, damn, you kind of stink. And
You
she's like,
guys
what
suck.
the fuck? You're rude as hell. Push her down a hill.
Bad bitch.
She gets grass stains on her knees.
Then there's a guy who was saying that a Yowie or like this big creature just like kicked his car or like punched the hood of his car as he was driving. I guess he was driving, saw the Yowie in the street, stopped. It just like attacked his car and then ran off into the woods.
Sounds like an insurance fraud.
Then there's another lady who apparently has been in contact with Yowies for like 5 years consistently, and she was able to talk with them telepathically and understand them and shit like that, and they'd leave for like macadamia nuts.
Telepathically.
Yeah. So, and then there's another guy who said he was able to converse with the Yowie and teach us some words. But again, this is all like
Like
hearsay.
Coco's
Yeah.
gorilla.
I mean, and it's possible.
Teach us sign language. Or
Yeah, I
something.
mean, the fucking-
if it's, like a branch of the Homo sapien,
Yeah, literally.
makes sense.
And they so with the gigantic thing that I said earlier, the Gigantopithecus, they're, with them being under the genus of the ape, the closest relatives to them would probably be the orangutans. Which, have you ever seen them in person?
Orangutans?
Yeah.
Their arms are long as shit.
They're fucking huge.
Yeah,
like-
also. Yeah.
They're huge. I remember we went to a zoo. This was a few years ago, and we saw an orangutan in an enclosure, and this thing was like a massive adult. I'm just like, Jesus Christ. So if this, like, if for whatever reason these gigantic apes somehow managed to survive, I wouldn't put it past it. So that's pretty much it for the Yowie. It's kind of like Bigfoot. It's all a lot of hearsay. There's no legit evidence. the footprints that have been found haven't been consistent.
Those are so easy to be faked.
Yeah.
Footprints of any side. They're
You
so
have
easy to be faked.
Fake footprints. You have people dressing up, and we have costumes of monkeys. So you have like people dressing up and walking around and acting like they're real and shit like that. So if the Yowie's real, cool. If it's not real, it's just an urban legend that's kind of consistent. Yeah. But speaking of Australia and the Yowie, with everything being on fire, like if
you think it would retreat to the suburbs of
it's like
an Australian town.
Australia is big, but it's, if you look on the map, it's not huge. So it's like in the way the fires were located and where they were at, they're pretty spread across Australia.
Like a lot of Australia.
So it's like, I wonder how, if they're real, they would survive, or what they're doing to kind of combat. I mean, you have all these kangaroos, you have all these koalas, you have all these other creatures that have perished in like the hectare-meters of fires that have happened. So it's like, if you have all these creatures that are burning and dying, how the Yowies like manage to survive? Because fires haven't.
But you did say they were on a different plane of existence.
Yeah. So if you want to follow that
fires
logic,
doesn't exist over there.
They're just like, it's really hot over here. We're going back to this plane.
What the fuck is happening over here?
We see you guys in a few years.
Did I cross to the plane of hell?
Shit, I think I went to the wrong dimension, guys. Oh, there's a fucking Yowie chilling on my lawn.
Because like not a lot of Australia is even like settled.
Yeah,
like a lot of it is just like wasteland, like Nevada, like desert shit like that. It's just basically coastal cities. The entire I want to say East Coast.
It's very dry in Australia too.
It's fucking crazy. Have you seen like the overlay of like the fire area put onto like Europe?
Oh yeah.
It's like the entire Europe.
Yeah, it's huge. On fire. Yeah. So I'm guessing like these fires kind of happen, land gets destroyed, but then shit kind of goes back, and then they're like, okay, we need to reburn shit.
I mean, in nature, there's fires are necessary.
Yeah.
I think there's like a certain like, I'm probably wrong here, but there was like years ago, I remember reading about like trees that their seeds could only be
with heat.
Yeah, they could only be released with like extreme heat, with like fire. So like with death comes life.
That was also in a zombie movie too.
The circle zombie movie.
Yeah, the girl with all the gifts.
The girl with all the gifts.
Yeah.
Or are you saying gifts?
Gifts.
Just walked around.
GIFTS.
Internet gifts.
No, yeah.
I got a perfect reaction gift for this one.
Spoiler if you haven't seen the movie.
Look, is that Arthur?
The end of the movie, the fucking spores that turn everybody into zombies literally only activate by fire. So the chick lights up this huge like tree with thousands upon thousands of seeds.
So she causes all the zombies?
Yes.
What the fuck movie is this?
Girl with All the Gifts. It's a good movie. You should check it out.
The Girl with All the Gifts. When was that released?
2000.
So very early 2000?
No, like 2015, 16 maybe. So I'll show you that. I'll show it to you after we're done with this stuff. But I think we should jump into your topic now.
Okay. Like I said, dude, I was so excited about this shit.
I know.
I was like, fucking, I was revisiting the topic. I'm like, what'd I miss?
What can I make better? When he texts me at like, oh, I'm not sleeping. I couldn't sleep, so I'm doing more research.
It's like 4 a.m.
It's like, go to sleep, Mike.
So, my topic is Kitsune. It's Kitsune. I'm just going to call it Kitsune.
Kitsune.
Because I'm American. It's also called the Kyobi no Kitsune, which basically just translates to nine-tailed fox. Kitsune means fox. The other words mean nine-tailed. Kitsune legends originate in Chinese mythology with the Huli Jing, and I'll reference that later. Huli Jing are basically just Chinese kitsune, but the Japanese took that mythology and kind of evolved it into their own. They are a type of yokai.
Who?
I'll get there.
You're just throwing all these terms at me. I will get there eventually.
I'm getting to it exactly right now. Yokai is a class of like supernatural demons, spirits, and monsters in just Japanese folklore. I think there's like an anime called Yokai Watch. I think it is. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not too versed in anime, especially animes of like this generation. I try to stick to Studio Ghibli, whatever. These mythological foxes are said to be incredibly intelligent, live for 1,000 years, and can even shapeshift into humans.
Cool.
Kitsune can't shapeshift into humans right away, though. As they age, they become more powerful, As they become more powerful, they grow more tails. Be quiet, Casper. I hear you.
You're not cute.
Knock that shit off. Stop messing with me. Over here playing with my cat and you're wondering why it's meowing. What was I just saying? As they age, they become more powerful. As they become more powerful, they grow more tails. So once the Kitsune reaches 100 years of age, it can finally shapeshift into humans.
Oh, damn.
100 years.
So you have to wait 100 years before you can become a human.
Yeah. So if you see a Kitsune with one tail, it's probably still young. Or maybe just really dumb. If a Kitsune has 9 tails,
you stupid.
It's very powerful and wise. So if you ever challenge something, you're like, this Kitsune has one tail. It's probably really weak.
9 tails.
I could probably overtake it. 9 tails is probably like almost ascending to godhood right now.
We're gonna have to get Naruto to handle
and
this.
I should really not attack. Which apparently was like, the Kitsune was a really heavy inspiration for Naruto.
Well, the 9 tails. Yeah, 9 tails fox.
Yeah, I never watched Naruto though. I always saw the kids running around with their arms behind them, so I'm like, I don't want to indulge in that culture. Kitsune will grow its 9th tail once it reaches 1,000 years of age.
I thought it was 100 is
100 is the shapeshift.
Oh, okay.
Also, it'll change the color of its fur to like a white or golden color. So think of like a regular fox, how they're usually like kind of like an orange.
Yeah.
I want to say auburn color. But yeah, once it reaches 1,000 years of age, it kind of goes into like it's like golden state, white,
so
like white fur, basically going Super Saiyan.
Kind of like 9 tails Pokemon.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah,
the Pokemon Vulpix and Ninetales.
Yeah, I was thinking the auburn color like Vulpix.
They are like directly related to the Kitsune. Then there's also like a lot of other popular characters in like video games and cartoons that are based off of a Kitsune. I reference those later. Once its transformation is complete, it goes to that 9th tail, golden color. The Kitsune becomes a Tenko, quote unquote, or a celestial fox, in a sense, to the heavens. Going back to their abilities, Kitsune are said to be able to visit people in their dreams, create fire or lightning, which, again, the Vulpix is a fire type.
Yeah.
Create illusions, fly, and become invisible.
And 9 tails is the illusions. I think.
Does
9 tails have like illusion?
I don't know.
I just think of the fucking embers that it creates.
Wasn't that like
Will-O-Wisp?
Will-O-Wisp with the move?
Yeah.
Which is also its own separate mythological
Jesus
creature. A Will-O-the-Wisp.
What?
Yeah.
I never heard
Will-O-the-Wisp. They were actually in Oblivion. Do you remember?
Dude, honestly, I really didn't play Oblivion.
I think Oblivion. Elder Scrolls Oblivion, for those of you who don't know. Yeah, I think it was like one of the spirit things. So you just have like this orb of light chasing you, and you're like, how do I kill that? Yeah. I used to get so scared of those.
Stop chasing me!
Get away from me! If you wish to kill a Kitsune, being that you're evil or just an asshole, you must cut off all of its tails. It is believed that the power of the Kitsune is held inside one of its tails. So, to be safe, you have to cut off all 9. Just be like, okay, well, I cut off 8. I'll leave that one because what are the chances?
Yeah,
and, that's the one that holds its power in. Others say that the power of a Kitsune is held within an orb called Hoshi no Tama, which kind of resembles Will-O-the-Wisp, where it's just kind of like this floating orb thing. The orb is like a Kitsune's life force, so they hide it. Usually in their mouths or their tails. What?
Kind of sounds like Achilles' heel, or
yeah, their one weakness.
Yeah. Or the dude where they had to like cut off his hair. What was that?
Cut off his hair?
Yeah, what the fuck was it?
With Brad Pitt?
Yeah, and he got his hair cut off.
Was it actually Brad Pitt?
I think so.
What?
Or that? No, I think
I think
of the movie Troy, which was based off of the Achilles.
I was just saying Brad Pitt's got great hair, so if you cut it off, it's probably...
Yeah.
You can Google it. I'll keep going. If someone does manage to get a hold of the orb, they have control over like the whole Kitsune. What, do you have it?
So this is based off of the Bible with Samson.
Yikes.
Yeah, so we're kind of... But that's the guy with power and hair.
So if you obtain this orb, the Kitsune is basically just like, come on, dude, stop. Give it back. A lot of times they'll like offer protection or, like guidance. It's like, yo, I'll help you out. Please give me back my fucking orb. If they go too long without it, they die.
Makes sense.
But that's just a few variations of the mythology. So who knows? And they have like a little thing where it has, somebody wrote this. It says, "Confound you," snapped the fox. "Give me back my ball." The man ignored its pleas until finally it said tearfully, all right, you've got the ball, but you don't know how to keep it. It won't be any good to you. For me, it's a terrible loss. I tell you, like, if you don't give it back, I'll be your enemy forever. If you do give it back, though, I'll stick to you like a protector god. And then, if it goes too long without it, it dies. If the guy doesn't bring it back, usually it'll help him out. There was, I remember reading, a short story which I totally forgot to write down. Basically, the guy finds the ball. Kitsune is like, "Please give it back." The guy's like, "Nah."
Wait, how do these people find the balls if they typically keep them in their mouth or?
I don't know. Maybe the Kitsune is hiding in a bush, and the guy's like, "Is that a tail? What's that?" And he picks up the ball from the tail, and he's like, "What is this?"
I own a Kitsune.
Kitsune's like, "Fuck." Also, they're not entirely vigilant all the time. They can get inebriated, and they can lower their guard, and someone can just pluck it off their tails. Especially when they go human form, they like to drink and cause a few pranks. But in the short story, it gives the ball back to the fox, but only after it offers protection. And then a little bit of ways. I think it might have been a merchant, honestly. The fox helps him navigate past a group of bandits, which he would have definitely died during this. And
you will
fox
die.
Is like, "All right, I'll see you later." And
adios.
But yeah, I honestly should have wrote that down, but I didn't. Just like the Yowie, there's two forms of Kitsune.
Okay.
One is Zenko Kitsune, not like Tenko, where they go ascend to the heavens, but it's Zenko. These foxes are the good boys. They're often affiliated with a deity called Inari Okami. Inari Okami is a Japanese deity of fertility, foxes, rice, tea, and sake.
Alcoholics.
Zenko protect the shrines and ward off evil. The Zenko are said to have orange fur, basically, like other foxes.
Yeah.
And meeting one is a good omen. Now, I wasn't able to really find too much information on Zenko. There's a lot of information on the other half, though. The other classification is called the Yako Kitsune, or Nagatsune. These foxes are the bad boy. They're, instead of being orange, they're black and white fur, but they're not that large. Which I thought was kind of odd. So they're bigger than mice, but smaller than a cat.
So they're like a rat from New York?
Yeah, New York rats, basically. Did I ever tell you about that rat I stepped on outside my house? I never told you about that? I was getting out of an Uber one night. I might have been coming home from work 2 years ago. And I stepped out and I stepped on a thing. And I lost my footing because
it's a fucking squishy rat.
It was a fucking rat. And I was like, "What the fuck was that?" It was probably the size of my cat right here. This cat right here, Casper, sitting next to you, was the size of this fucking rat. It was huge. And I stepped on it.
Big ass rat.
And it didn't even care.
It
kept walking. It didn't scurry off. It just
and it's
walked
was a rat.
Yeah. I swear to God, it came from New York.
I
could telepathically connect to it, and it was "I'm walking here."
I'm walking here.
The Nagatsune are mostly mischievous, but are known sometimes to be malicious, so they could try to harm you. The Nagatsune can also possess humans.
Sounds like what a normal demon would do.
Yeah, they're kind of basically Japanese demons. They'll enter their victim, usually a young lady, by burrowing into her fingernails.
Fuck.
Or
vagina?
No, not the vagina.
Oh.
And I wrote this down. Or blue skidooing into her breasts.
All right, Blue's Clues.
Which I don't know how. I assume they just go through the nipple duct, the milk ducts.
How about you?
We can too. While possessed, victims will often exhibit symptoms relating to an illness. So sometimes somebody will be acting weird. They're coughing a lot. They got a fever. People will be like, "Oh shit, this guy's got a Nagatsune inside of him." Sometimes people will run naked through the streets. They'll start frothing at the mouth. And they'll develop a lump that moves underneath the skin.
Ooh.
So you remember the movie The Mummy?
Yeah, the
Like,
fucking
the
scarabs.
Yeah. Just like
Ah.
moving underneath. I mean, like the CGI for that was fucking terrible. But
Terrible,
back
but-
then it was
yeah.
so real.
It's like, holy shit, it's under his skin.
I was like, I couldn't watch those. I was like, this guy's getting to that door. I'm like, "Ugh, I can't look at it now."
And there goes all the fucking scarabs inside it.
So the lump moves underneath the skin and it's unable to be stopped. So like, they'll put like a cup over it
And
and it'll just go underneath the cup and keep moving underneath the skin. Once the fox lets go of the victim will no longer be able to eat foods enjoyed by foxes and kitsune, like tofu, and I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but aberage and azukimeshi, which is basically like red beans at the end.
Okay.
That last one's like red beans. If the Yako does not leave on its own, exorcisms would be performed at an Inari shrine to rid the victim of the Yako. So they have to go to like one of the good kitsune shrines and be like, hey,
get an exorcism.
please.
Expel this demon.
Stop fucking messing with him.
Just sit.
You're fucking smacking his butt. He's making noises. If a priest wasn't available or if the exorcism failed, people would... I kind of laugh at this, even though it's kind of fucked up. Who just beat the fucking shit out of the victim.
Get out of this guy!
Yeah.
Kick him!
Smack him. Wake the fuck up! So they just beat the shit out of the person who's being possessed by the Yaka. Special note, in psychiatry, the term Kitsune Tsuke was just like a psychological term given to people who believe they are possessed by the Kitsune. Kitsune Tsuke.
Huh.
When the Kitsune shapeshifts, usually they prefer transforming into beautiful young women. So these could be either good or bad. Going back to the shapeshifting power, usually they prefer transforming into beautiful young women. People used to think that if you encountered a young woman at night by herself, it was most likely a Kitsune.
Trying to kill you.
They don't really kill. I mean, not all of them are going to kill. Only the Yako.
Bad ones.
Yeah, maybe. They're not always malicious, you know. They can just be mischievous.
Makes sense.
Some variations of the myth state that you can tell a kitsune apart from human because it'll retain its fur in human form. It'll have like a very fine fur. And you're like, what the fuck? Like getting too close, you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
And it's like, I gotta go.
It's like, oh shit.
Sometimes it'll retain its human form. Well, it'll have fur in its human form. Have a fox-like shadow, or you can see its true form through a reflection, like a mirror, or say you're having a beautiful lakeside dinner, or maybe you're by a pond and you look in the reflection and you're like, holy shit, she's a fox.
Foxy.
A lot of variations say that I think a lot of the folklore say that kitsune have trouble hiding their tails after transforming, especially if they're like inebriated or basically just letting down their guard. A guaranteed way of exposing a kitsune is by keeping a doggerino by your side, because they fear / like hate dogs.
Okay.
So they'll become like irritated by the dog's presence, start losing their grip, and then they'll revert to their natural form and just flee.
I can't take the smell of that dog.
Yes,
Get it out of
that
my
thing
sight.
Stinks. Just a regular pug sitting in the corner. It's just so ugly. I love pugs though.
Pugs need love too.
Kitsune are often presented as tricksters. Depending on the type of kitsune, the mischief can be either kind-hearted or completely malevolent. So, the Zenkos are going to be more playful tricks.
Okay.
The Yako is going to be more just fucking with people and making their day fucked up. Zenko play their tricks on shady merchants or other prideful samurai, or just douchebags in general. People that deserve to get pranked on.
Like, we're gonna fuck with you.
Yeah, like that guy just bragged about killing like 200 people in a war. Let's hide his sword from a little bit, The Yako, though, will target monks and priests, men of religion, farmers and like poor folk, peasants, stuff like that. People that don't necessarily deserve to have any more hardships than they usually do. Some goals of these tricksters would be to steal food, humiliate their targets, or even seduce them. Ha ha, you had sex with me. Loser! Fucking dork. you couldn't tell? Because of all their trickery, a game was developed, much like rock, paper, and scissors. It's called Kitsune Ken. 3 options, rock, paper, and scissors, were basically fox, hunter, and village headman. The headman outranks the hunter shoots the fox, and the fox bewitches the village headman, thus completing the cycle.
Okay.
The Imperial Regent of Japan, and I'm probably also going to butcher this, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, born all the way back in 1537.
Jeez.
And he died in 1598. He wrote a letter to Inari herself, the god of everything I said before, since I already forgot. When he was fed up with the Kitsune's tricks, he was like, "What the fuck is going on here? I gotta write a letter to this god." He said, "To Inari, my lord, I have the honor to inform you that one of the foxes under your jurisdiction has bewitched one of my servants, causing her and others a great deal of trouble. I have to request that you make inquiries into the matter, and endeavor to find out the reason of your subject misbehaving in this way, and let me know the result."
Let me know, thanks.
If it turns out that the fox has no adequate reason to give for this behavior, you are to arrest and punish him at once. If you hesitate to take action in this matter, I shall issue orders for the destruction of every fox in the land. Any other particulars that you may wish to be informed of in reference to what has occurred, you can learn from the high priest of Yoshida. So basically, kind of like a teacher emailing another teacher,
Yeah.
or like a principal, hey,
It's a teacher emailing the principal.
Michael's been pretty bad lately.
You need
he's
to
not
address
listening.
this.
You should probably look into it. Maybe he's got some issues with other teachers,
I don't know, but you need to get this solved.
So basically, this guy's just snitching. Let's be real.
Snitches get stitches.
Or
That's what I heard.
I heard that too. While being tricksters, the Kitsune are commonly portrayed as lovers as well, which is why I said seducing comes into play earlier. Usually these stories of interspecies erotica involve young men unknowingly bedding and marrying a Kitsune in human form.
Damn.
The Kitsune prove to be devoted wives, and everything is great. Awesome. But then again, this was older times, so maybe the term devoted wives were basically just do everything a man tells you to do, otherwise I'll beat you with...
What time frame is this?
What?
Back
then, this was I believe the oldest Kitsune folklore was mentioned in the year 500.
So they've been catfishing since 500 AD.
Yeah. Way before the show, way before MySpace, way before Friendster, way before Facebook. Way before Instagram and Tinder. So everything's great until the man discovers that his wife is a foxy babe. Literally. Okay, hold on. I'm losing my fucking fire.
I wonder if that's where the term, foxy came from.
It could be.
It would make sense.
Yeah. Foxy mama?
Yeah.
Maybe. I didn't look into it that much. The Kitsune prove to be devoted wives, and everything is great until the man discovers that his wife is a foxy babe. The Kitsune is then forced to leave him once her cover's blown.
Sometimes all that time for nothing.
Yeah, no. Sometimes the dude never finds out his wife a Kitsune. Sometimes the dude never finds out his wife is a Kitsune, and they eventually get to the point of procreation, they're making babies. If the children are human, they possess unique physical or supernatural abilities.
Sounds like a demigod.
Yeah, kind of. I didn't read much into. I don't know if they can make other Kitsune babies, or just regular foxes. And the guy's like, "What the fuck? What the hell's going on here?"
Maybe that's the Japanese version of a Nephilim.
True.
Which is another subject we'll cover eventually.
Probably. Eventually. It could be a year from now. Don't get your hopes up. The Kitsune can even marry each other. When rain is falling on a day with clear skies, a sun shower, it means that the foxes are holding their weddings.
Huh.
Overall, this is a good omen. Yeah, everything's great and dandy. Unless you show up to the wedding reception. You basically crash their party. The Kitsune will seek revenge on you. Damn. Which, side note, I watched a movie called Dreams. A Japanese movie from 1990.
How was that?
I watched it yesterday in preparation for this. It's weird. It is weird. Dreams is a series of, think Black Mirror.
Okay.
None of the episodes correlate with each other. But it's basically just short stories. So this one's maybe 15 minutes long. And there's a kid, and it starts raining on him. He's maybe like 5 or 6. The way I described the one thing that reminded me of his age, or made me think about his age, was the kid Dylan Sprouse from Big Daddy.
Okay, yeah.
With Adam Sandler. I'm like, he reminds me of that age, so probably 5, 6 years old tops.
Yeah, say around that.
This kid's just standing outside, and his mom comes out. It starts raining, and she's like gathering things and bringing them inside. And she's like, "Hey, come inside. It's sun showering right now, and the Kitsune are marrying. You should come inside so you don't accidentally see." And the kid's just like, what? He doesn't really talk. Back in that day, 1990, didn't give a fuck about child actors, so they just fucking let them do whatever the hell they want. It was like someone's nephew or something. But which that kid's probably like 30 years old at this point. But way more than that. He's probably like 35.
Residual income.
Honestly, I don't think he's making too much money off of this movie. But the kid basically wanders off during the sun shower. He goes into a forest by himself, discovers a wedding procession.
Of course.
Yeah, naturally. Hides behind a tree, and these humanoid Kitsune are walking excruciatingly slow, and then they look around, like, who's watching?
There's someone here.
Yeah. And the makeup is terrifying. It's so bad. It's so bad. I wish I had a fucking photo to show you.
Were they like actually all was there females involved, or was it like
there's like women involved and men involved? Because way back when I think women weren't allowed to participate.
It was men being females.
Yeah, plays and stuff. But this is 1990, different times. So there's like women, but they're all Kitsune, and they all have terrible makeup on. They also, like, every single person has like these wispy mustache hairs that just go straight horizontal. I'm like, are those supposed to be whiskers? Those are terrible.
Terrible whiskers.
So as much nightmare fuel as it is, they ended up discovering the kid hiding behind a tree. Not really making his presence unknown.
Yeah.
He walks away or jogs away casually. Gets back home, and his mom meets him at the door again, and she's like, "You went to the goddamn forest, didn't you? You saw the wedding, didn't you?" He's like, "Yes." I don't even think he responds, honestly. He doesn't have any lines.
I fucked up.
But she's like, "Yeah, there's a really angry fox that came around a little bit ago, and he's really angry with you. You can't come inside anymore. Also, he gave me this to give to you. It's like a bamboo stick. And he holds the bamboo stick and he takes apart the one end, and it's a fucking knife or a sword. Basically, the Kitsune gave him a sword. And his mom, it's so fucked up. His mom's like, "Yeah, that fox is pretty angry with you. In order to make right what you've done, you have to kill yourself." What the fuck? I know.
Hey, little 6-year-old boy.
Yeah, 6-year-old boy getting told by his mom, "Yeah, you gotta kill yourself,
You fucked up, now you gotta kill yourself."
Sorry, dude.
I'm guessing that would be like the,
seppuku?
Yes, and they just fucking...
You dishonored your family type of shit. So yeah, the kid basically takes the knife. He doesn't actually kill himself.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert, he doesn't actually kill himself.
The 6-year-old is safe!
Yeah. But yeah, his mom tells him to kill himself, and then he has to go find them and basically just ask for forgiveness. And she's like, they live underneath rainbows. So he walks into like a field, and there's a big rainbow on the entire screen, 90s fashion.
Yeah.
And he just walks into the field, and that's the end of that dream sequence. And it starts with another dream sequence, and it has absolutely nothing to do. I got like 40 minutes in, and I was like, what the fuck does this part have to do with the other part? And I looked on Wikipedia, and I'm like, oh.
It's an anthology.
They actually have nothing to do with each other. I should have known better.
Man, and I'm hurt my mom didn't call to say happy birthday, and this kid's mom is telling him to kill himself.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck?
By the way, it was Dakota's birthday just yesterday. Yeah. So, comment that. I don't fucking know. I don't know what podcasters do.
I'm bald.
Also, the Kitsune have popped up in popular culture throughout the years. Naturally, it's huge in Japan. In the television show Supernatural, Sam encounters a Kitsune and befriends her. Years later, he meets her again, comes to grips that they are different people and that she has to do what she has to do to protect her son or daughter. I can't quite recall the episode. And he leaves her be. If you do watch Supernatural, you know that Dean ends up fucking up that entire that entire treaty there.
You know what happens.
Yeah, I won't spoil it.
If you haven't seen it,
I will spoil it. Dean fucking kills her.
Yeah, he said, "You're not a human. Fuck you." Stab.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're great with words. Jewel State actually portrays that character. I love Jewel State.
Yeah, he does.
Do you know who that is?
No.
You know?
I'll Google her real quick.
Jewel State was in Firefly. You ever watch that TV show?
No. How do you spell? Is it J?
Jewel, like a jewel, crown jewel, and State, STAIT.
Oh, yeah, she's not bad.
TE, sorry.
Yeah, I remember now.
She was
okay.
She was a lot younger in Firefly. I want to say that probably came out like 2005.
Yeah, I remember her.
A long time ago. One season, cut too short. Like a lot of good TV shows are. Nathan Fillion's in that. What the fuck is her name? The wife of Deadpool, Morena Baccarin. She's in Gotham as well. She's so fun. I even wrote down talk about Jewel State or some shit. Some shit here. LOL. A more popular television kitsune is in the show Teen Wolf and is portrayed by an actress named Arden Cho. I don't know anything about Teen Wolf though.
I've seen like the first season, maybe a little bit into the second.
I think that's more like a teenage drama. Obviously, Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
I don't mesh well with like high school television shows like Degrassi and stuff like that.
Keanu and I watched it when we were at Kidstown.
Kitsune have even inspired some famous cartoon and video game characters as well. In the TV show Digimon,
oh shit,
there is a Digimon by the name of Renamon that was inspired by Kitsune. I have actually seen that when I played Gary's Mod a lot. They like modeled that character over from Digimon into Gary's Mod, which I thought was kind of creepy. Vulpix and Ninetales, we spoke about that earlier, also heavily influenced by Kitsune, as they have Ninetales and are fire types. In the anime Inuyasha, do you remember Inuyasha?
Yeah.
There's a very small character called Shippo. He's a kitsune. He's like an orphaned kid that befriends Kagome and Inuyasha. Okay. Even Luigi, from Mario and Luigi, Super Mario, has a form that resembles a kitsune.
Luigi?
Luigi. So,
transforms?
Do you know Mario's Tanuki suit? Where he's like a raccoon? He's got a raccoon tail with ears. Luigi's got one with a fox. So they're saying that's probably a kitsune, but it's just a fox.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Crazy Red from Animal Crossing. Yeah, exactly. That
I
form.
pulled up a picture of Luigi in a kitsune suit.
Yeah. Which I've honestly never seen before.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
I didn't even know he had a Tanuki suit. But Crazy Red from Animal Crossing. Have you ever played Animal Crossing? There's a character that comes around I want to say every Monday. And he has like a little tent in like a town square, and he sells counterfeit art. Okay. Like he has 4, and 1's real. The other 3 are fake.
You gotta figure out.
So you gotta figure out which one. Which Google.
Yeah.
Also, he's kind of a trickster because he'll try to sell you fake stuff so that people are.
Kitsune.
Yeah, he's probably Kitsune. Miles Prowler, Tails from Sonic.
Oh yeah, I was actually just gonna say that. Also, like Tails has two or 3 tails.
He's a young Kitsune. Even in Fortnite, there's like a pet. I don't play Fortnite, but there's like a pet called the Kitsune, and it looks exactly like you'd think a Kitsune would look like, and I guess you just carry him. It's just a cosmetic item. League of Legends has a champion.
They have a mask, a Kitsune mask.
Yeah, League of Legends has a champion called Ari, the nine-tailed fox. Pretty obvious. That's pretty on the nose. In the show Love, Death, and Robots, the episode Good Hunting features a Huli Jing, which I said earlier was the Chinese form of Kitsune.
Okay.
Which is basically the same exact thing. Do you remember that episode? Did you watch Love, Death, and Robots?
Was it the one with the arena and they're fighting?
No, that was not that one. There was one where this merchant is in the 1800s. He's a Japanese merchant or something, and he comes up. His dad is hunting a Kitsune, and the kid is told to wait outside, and one of the Kitsune's pups walks out, and they both encounter each other, and the boy's like, okay, well you're probably not all that bad.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, whatever, well I'm gonna go.
I remember that.
And then she becomes she shapeshifts too much and loses her magical ability.
Yeah. And
she's basically used by a white settler in China back in the day. And she becomes humanoid and can't transform back into a fox to exact her revenge. Because he basically body mods her which is a crazy episode. If you're listening, you should probably check it out.
Or just check out Love, Death, and Robot in general.
Yeah, the entire show is fucking awesome.
It's an anthology, so every episode's different, and there's none that relate to each other, but they're interesting.
All of them are interesting, except one. I didn't like the farming one. I think it was mainly because of the animation style. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like they're on a farm, and there's like demons that come from a different dimension, and they're in mech suits.
Oh, yes.
I didn't like the animation style of that because the frame rate was pretty low, and I'm like, this is hurting my eyes almost. Yeah. It was also I have a story here found within a book called again, gonna butcher this, Nihon Ryoiki, written between 787 and 824. Damn. So 800, the year 824. There once was a very lonely man who was hard at work on his farm. He worked day in and day out, and he had plenty of food to eat and a nice home which he cared for. But he had not a wife. He had searched for many years for a woman to make his own, but could never find one suitable enough. One day, while he was about in his field, he looked up to find a staggeringly beautiful woman. She could be nothing less than a lady. A lady.
Was she a foxy lady?
Probably. And he fell in love immediately. He asked that she marry him, explained to her all he had and how he could take care of her, and to his great joy, she agreed. The couple married, and they lived very happily together for years. To the farmer's great joy, his wife one day told him that finally she was with child, and that they would be complete family. He was overjoyed and took great care of his wife and their unborn child. When the baby was finally born, he found that his pet dog had also beget a single puppy. He had hopes, so I guess, which I'm like, how'd the dog get pregnant? Yeah. And only one baby in the litter? That's odd.
Kind of weird.
He had hopes that the child and puppy would grow up together and be good companions, but as the puppy grew, it became increasingly hostile towards the farmer's wife for no apparent reason. Months went by like this until one day the pup turned dog tore into the lady's arm. Terrified for her life, the woman vanished in a fit of robes and silks, and in her place sat a fox with 9 tails, and, realizing what she had done, bolted out of the house and away from the angry jaws of the dog. Days, weeks, months went by, and she did not return. The man was heartbroken. He loved his wife and missed her, and did not care that she was really a fox spirit. Wandering the fields in despair. It says wandering in the official story. Wandering the fields in despair, calling out in his voice that grew hoarse and broken from tears for her to please. Kitsune, which is where I guess the name comes from. I also looked up like real encounters with Kitsune.
Yeah.
There's pretty much none. Which kind of sucks, but oh well.
Well, it's kind of like the whole folklore thing. So.
Yeah. You can't really expect there to be eyewitnesses, video proof, photographs.
One day I was just walking and a Kitsune tried to seduce me.
I was probably really drunk and high at the time. Reddit user Efficient Beautiful shared 2 stories relating to a Kitsune, and they're not in depth, so I'll read them both. My first day in Japan, I visited Fushimi Inari Shrine in Kyoto. As you may already know, the god of Inari uses Kitsune as familiars. I didn't have any Japanese money yet, so I prayed, but I didn't make an offering. That trip was difficult for a number of reasons, but one of them was that I kept getting lost, and I couldn't help but worry that I'd offended the spirits somehow. One rainy day, I was particularly lost, but as I turned down a side street, the sun came out and I noticed a small local shrine with a fox statue out front. It was such a beautiful scene that it took my breath away. I wasn't sure if it was okay for me to enter, so I prayed and left the coin on the front gate. After that, I got lost a lot less, and my heart felt lighter. It could have been all my head, but it was a pretty intense moment for me. This one didn't happen in Japan, but back home. I bought a painted wooden fox head made from a lightning-struck tree that a local Wiccan craftsman had made. It was an impulse buy for a friend of mine, but her birthday was a while away, so I kept it stored in my room at my parents' house, checking on it once in a while because we have humidity issues. Every time I touched this thing, I saw foxes, usually that same night, driving home, but also over the next few weeks. It's not unusual to see a fox by the road where I live, but it's usually only once every few months, and I was seeing several per week.
Jesus.
I asked my family, and they weren't seeing nearly as many. Even my atheist and skeptic boyfriend started to think something was going on. I finally gave it to my friend when her birthday came around, and I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 foxes in the month since. There was definitely something powerful going on with that piece. Sounds pretty cool.
Speaking of foxes, in the cemetery, when Keanu and I went for a walk, we saw a big-ass fox.
Huge?
I haven't seen a fox in years.
Like, it was a fox, but it was, like, a full adult fox, so it looked, like, bigger than normal. Because, like, I've seen foxes out heading towards work, like, dart across the road, and they're, like, tall, and they're skinny. Well, like, they're small, and they're skinny, and they're, like, tall. Yeah, tall and skinny. But this fox was, like, broad, like, looking at us, like, just chilling. And I, like, saw it, and I was like, oh, shit, because I've, like, never seen a fox, like, up close, and it was so still, I thought it was, like, fake. And then just looked at us, stood there for, like, 10, 15 seconds, and just, like, darted away. I was like,
Pretty
shit.
cool.
Never seen one, like, that close, like, bright orange, the white spot on its chest, the ears, and the fluffy tail. I was like, wow, it's kind of cool.
So why'd you pick the Yowie?
Because I saw...
Because of the Australian?
Well, so, I literally picked the Yowie because I read on Reddit, like, a week before you brought this up, hey, strange encounter on one of the humanoid or cryptozoology Reddits. And he, like...
I started following a few.
The story was that him and his fiance were on the forest line at a fire, and he kind of was talking to his girlfriend, fiance, or whatever, and then just kind of noticed in the distance, like, he thought he saw or heard something, and then he just had this feeling of, like, there's something wrong, there's something going on, like, what the fuck? And then he heard something like a twig break, and then he saw a shadow kind of, like, move, and he said it was, like, this big gorilla-looking, like, creature, like, this silhouette. He was like, when he pointed it to his girlfriend, she saw it, and then she kind of got that feeling like, hey, I think we should get out of here, and he was like... Yeah, and then as they, like, got up and they put the fire and they started leaving, they, like, heard this creature, like, start running. Like, not towards them, but away. And, like, they heard this loud, like, scream or whatever. Like, this loud growl.
Yikes.
And they were just like, fuck. And they just took off to their car and left.
Fucking genius.
I was like, oh, shit. So then I was Googling the Yowie a little bit more, and I was like,
yeah,
oh,
this is
so.
a perfect subject.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. So that's how I found that shit.
Yeah. So for those listening, I wanted a new hobby.
Yeah.
And I was like, what can I do in my free time that I can learn about something I'm interested in / make content for people to enjoy. And I ended up basically getting the idea of a podcast. I'm like, okay, well, what would I talk about? And I've always expressed interest in cryptozoology, especially since like I was like 9th grade.
Yeah.
I used to like roam around this like website that was just pure cryptozoology stuff. And I was like, Jesus, like people were actually like making this their careers. Like there's a cryptozoologist. I'm like, I'm like, you can be accredited at like a university for cryptozoology. That's crazy. And obviously I never went to college. Dakota did, but I did not. And so that kind of snuffed my dreams right down there.
Guess I can't do this.
But I figure if I ended up expressing this idea to Dakota here.
I am his best friend.
Yeah, he's my best friend.
Since like
and he was like, I want in.
Fucking right.
I want to buy in.
I'm down for the paranormal and
exactly. It's just so cool.
Yeah, I've been into this shit since I was a kid. I've always been obsessed with like horror movies and spooky movies in general, like especially like, you know, Paranormal Activity.
I want to rewatch that.
The Fourth Kind. The House, not a House.
Remember when we saw The Conjuring, or was it Insidious? It was one of those movies.
We went to the movie theater.
Yeah, and Shane was there as well. You got so
I think
scared.
it was The Conjuring. I think it was The Conjuring 1 or 2.
I think it was The Conjuring.
Or it might have been. But one of. So, anyways.
I laughed so hard because
I screamed. It was embarrassing.
That was so funny.
But it's scary. Like, it's those movies that kind of get to me. Because it's like ghosts, demons.
Just gets your blood pumping.
Because it's like, that shit, like,
there's
something has to be out there.
Yeah, it's like, you don't want to believe it. Because it's so spooky.
Yeah.
And it's like, but these myths have been around for 10 generations at least. It's crazy.
And I mean, exorcisms date back to fucking
forever.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, we just need the Vatican to release all their hidden files.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, but then we'll see all the, hey, everyone's a pedophile.
Yeah, I know. Everything's going to be pedophile. There's going to be that one real birth of Satan story that just gets buried.
It's like, shit.
It's like, oh, alright, whatever. Like, what's this? Satan. Yeah, throw it away.
Yeah, whatever. Burn
This
it.
guy diddled kids. Which is definitely important, but I don't know. I want to read stuff about Satan. There's only been so many fucking stories in the Catholic Church.
Oh, yeah.
About that kind of shit. And it just gets... You get jaded from it all.
But yeah, so that's how we kind of came to this podcast. Mike came to me, and it's like, fuck yeah, I've always been interested in this shit.
Let's do it.
And plus, there's so much content. Like,
we can research for hours.
I actually just saw a podcast yesterday. These two guys have been doing like a podcast since like 2015 about paranormal stuff,
and that's not even old.
Yeah,
that's
like,
relatively new in podcasting.
It's like, holy smokes,
they're podcasts since 2008, 2009. Yeah.
So,
I remember I used to, back in high school, I was like freshman, and I used to listen to this podcaster, and his name, I don't remember his name, but his channel / account was called Ask a Ninja.
Okay.
It's just in ninja gear.
Cool.
And he's like, Ask a Ninja, how do I talk to a girl? He's like, well, first, you're going to want to, like, sneak into her house like a ninja.
Sneak into her bedroom and hide behind her door.
It was just, like, a little parody thing. It was pretty entertaining as a kid, and I think I learned it from, like, G4 TV. Yeah, podcasting's been around for a very long time.
Yeah. And it's just now becoming more prevalent. Like, I feel like a lot of people are doing it.
Yeah, like, I used to listen to Joe Rogan back in, like, 2014, 2015 a lot.
Yeah.
And then, suddenly, like, 2018, everybody's talking about Joe Rogan podcast. And I'm like, it was pretty popular back then, but, like, now it's delving into, a lot of movement, everything.
Yeah.
Because I'm listening to, like, these people, like, Joe Rogan said, blah, 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 and Rogan, on the Rogan podcast, and Brian Redband.
Smoking weed with Elon Musk.
Oh, Jesus. That was, like, a year ago already. Yeah. That was a year ago already.
Jesus.
Crazy. How time passed. But before we know, we'll be on episode 52. And it'll be our year anniversary.
This is only episode 1, which will probably be our longest episode. And we stopped to edit.
Honestly, yeah, with editing, it'll probably come out to like about an hour and 10 minutes. Yeah. Which is a good podcasting length. Give people something to listen to.
Yeah, you can listen to this when you're driving, working out, when you're bored at home.
I listen to most of my podcasts at work.
When you're cleaning.
You can't really do that because you can't listen to your headphones. But with my job, I'm just scaling out. I scale out marijuana for a living. I just put it on scales, 3.5.
He's a professional drug dealer.
Kinda, but I don't deal drugs. I just scale them out and put them in containers. It's a legit business, I swear. Dakota over here, he's health and safety for a...
I make sure you're healthy and safe in your workplace. I work with batteries.
It's pretty extravagant. Both of us really need a hobby.
So this is the perfect outlet for us. We kind of have like our job set up and make decent money so we can afford a decent living. So now it's just like, all right, what can we do in our spare time to fill the void?
Exactly.
And here we go, because with as much content as there is, and shit's always happening, so there's always newer content coming out.
Exactly. Shit, there's always mythological creatures that are being created as well. Yeah. Like Slender Man came out in like 2010,
which was literally a created phenomenon and has since skyrocketed.
Yeah.
We're to the point,
girl that killed her friend?
Where 2 girls literally killed their best friend to sacrifice it to Slender Man.
That's crazy. So in the future, we're probably going to release twice, maybe Mondays and what? Maybe
Wednesdays.
Mondays and Wednesdays. You think that's good?
Thursday.
We could do Wednesday.
We'll figure something out.
We'll do Monday and Wednesday. So Monday will be like more of a cryptozoology oriented podcast. It'll have like a creature or something. And then on Wednesdays we'll release strictly ghost encounters, ghost stories.
Yeah.
Ghost buildings, ghost ships, ghost spaceships.
Anything that
maybe that's not a thing yet.
Ghostly.
Anything ghostly, because there's just so much ghost stuff, and I'm always loving a good ghost story. So we'll record some ghost stuff too.
Yeah,
and we'll present it. We'll do our research. We'll present it to you guys. See how that goes for a while. That could always change. Who knows? If you have any questions, if If you have any
comments,
if you have a personal story that you want to tell us,
yeah,
maybe relating to our subject, maybe you have a encounter with a Yowie, maybe you married one,
yeah, or you married a Kitsune,
maybe you married a Kitsune. Maybe,
if you slept with one, I want to hear about it.
I want to hear about it. I was like, how'd you get past the tails? Did it like tickle your nose while you're going at it?
Did it feel nice?
Was it furry? You can email us at thecryptkeeperspodcast@gmail.com.
And it's no crazy spelling. It's how you would Google spell it. So
yeah, just thecryptkeeperspodcast@gmail.com. Please rate us. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to be posting this podcast on. Preferably iTunes and Spotify in the future. Maybe Stitcher. We'll have to get there eventually. Yeah. But
we'll let you guys
if you
know.
rate us, that'd be a big help. Get our names out there. Build an audience so that we can teach more people about myths.
Yeah.
We're teaching ourselves about myths, but it'd be awesome to teach you guys as well. Shoot us a follow on Instagram. We have a page called Crypt Keepers Podcast.
We will follow you back.
Assuming you're interesting. Maybe you're not interesting. Who knows? Ideally, like when we do our research, I want to post pictures that we do find like on the internet.
Yeah.
And
the pictures and shit like that.
Post it on the days that we do release and be like, hey, this is what you're missing out on. This is super cool.
Yeah.
This is alright. Listen to us if you want to. I won't beg, but I might beg.
Please listen to us.
I might beg. We also have a Facebook group called Crypt Keepers Podcast. Join us there. We'll probably have a few discussions. That's largely related to how many people actually joined the Facebook group. But if you're the first one, cool. You'll be super awesome, and I love you for it.
And we appreciate you forever.
So I guess this is it.
Yeah, that's the first podcast in the books.
All right.
Again, my name is Dakota.
I'm Michael, and thank you for listening.
This is the Crypt Keepers.